All right. Well, Tucker is no longer an Astro. And my first thought on it is, man, I like Tucker. When Tucker and Fromber and Bregman and everyone else's contracts who are coming up were, like, who are they going to sign? Who are they going to keep? Who are they going to get rid of? Who should they trade before it's over? I was thinking, I'm going to keep one guy from that. It's going to be Tucker. Unfortunately, Tucker's price kept going up, and that Soto deal didn't help anybody. So I guess that's why it's got to be Tucker, is they're never going to pay for that, So I'm glad that they finally broke the mold and got something for him. I know it was like the Cubs' 7th best guy, but it's the Astros' best prospect now. So, I mean, we got to look at it that way as our farm system improved. And then you got that pitcher that should be on the roster and regularly worked. And most off, Esau Paredes. I mean, he puts up as good a numbers as Bregman, and you're not going to pay him $30 million a year. I mean, Bregman's still a depreciating asset. That's what we got to keep in mind, is his best years are behind him. He's not 2019 Bregman. I think people who remember 2019 are like, man, we can't get rid of this guy. And he's a good player, but he's a good player for the right price. It's just like a car. You're like, man, I love that car, but do you love it for $100 grand? I don't. So that's kind of my 2 cents on what's going on. I hope the Astros don't sign Bregman to a crazy deal. If he wants 20 to 22 million, that's more than I'll ever have. But he's a major league player, and he's a good major league player, but he's not an all-star. So if I'm going to spend $30 million on a player, it's not Bregman. It's somebody else. You guys want some scratch? Where? Here's some scratch. So anyway, you gotta keep in mind, we weren't gonna re-sign Tucker because Soto signed that fat deal. Tucker was gonna demand something like 300, 400 million. Astros aren't gonna sign that kind of contract to somebody. Should they pay Tucker 30 million a year? Yeah, I'd pay Tucker 30 million a year. If I had a franchise and I had that kind of money, I'd be like, that's my guy. 30 million a year, you got it. Here's 10 years, 30 million, done deal. But 40, 50 million, I mean, you just got to start thinking about, do I want a deep bullpen instead and pay guys 3 to 5 million a year instead? Do I want to get some of these young players like they are and be in good contracts? I mean, you got to look at the future too and say, we got $60 million coming back on the books from Montero's bad contract, Abreu's bad contract. I mean, if Bregman's numbers were looking up the last 2 years, I'd be like, look, he's getting better. He's maintaining. They're going down. So I don't understand the big fuss about keeping Bregman. I don't. I think Paredes, if you look at his numbers straight up, they're close enough to not have to pay that kind of money. If Bregman wants to stay for 20, 22 million, great. Welcome home.